The Shadow That Chose Her. Part 1. The Man Who Watches. You never notice the moment someone starts watching you. Because if you did, it wouldn't be called watching. It would be called hunting. The first time he saw her, she was laughing. Not the polite laugh people used to fill silence. Not the forced one women wear like armor when men stare too long. No, this laugh was reckless. Real. The kind that escaped before permission could be asked. She stood outside a bookstore cafe, sunlight tangled in her hair like it belonged there. A paper cup warmed her hands. Her eyes were half closed as if the world wasn't worth seeing unless it deserved her attention. He noticed everything. The way she shifted her weight onto one foot when listening. The way she tucked hair behind her ear when nervous. The way she didn't notice him. That was what fascinated him most. People usually noticed him. Not because he was loud. Not because he was obvious. But because something about him pressed quietly against instincts people didn't understand. Like standing too close to the edge of a cliff. You don't see danger. You feel it. She didn't. He tilted his head slightly, studying. Interesting. Very interesting. Her name, he would later learn, was Lena Arshad. 23. Literature student. Lives alone. Prefers tea over coffee after 6 p.m. Always locks her door twice. Hates thunderstorms. Loves old poetry. Thinks she's cautious. Thinks she's safe. At that moment, she was telling her friend a story. Her hands moved when she talked, painting invisible pictures in the air. He watched the arc of her wrist, the soft pulse under her skin. He imagined pressing his thumb there. Not hurting, just feeling. The thought didn't disturb him. It never did. She said goodbye to her friend and turned toward the street. Her smile faded slowly, like a light dimming after a show. Alone now, she walked with her usual careful pace. Not rushed, not slow. Observant. He stepped away from the shadow of the lamppost only after she passed him. Then he followed. He always waited exactly 7 steps before moving. 7 was a respectful distance. 7 meant she wouldn't hear his shoes. 7 meant she wouldn't feel watched. 7 meant control. Her apartment building stood 3 blocks away. Old bricks softened by years of rain. She climbed the stairs instead of using the elevator. He watched from across the street as she disappeared inside. He didn't move for a long time. Cars passed. People brushed by. Wind stirred trash along the curb. Still he stood. Because he was listening. Not with his ears. With memory. Recording everything. 3rd floor. Left side. Curtains pale blue. Plant in the window. Dying slightly. She forgets to water it on Wednesdays. He smiled faintly. He liked knowing things she didn't know about herself. He didn't approach the building. Not yet. Obsession, he believed, was like venom. It had to spread slowly to work. Inside, Lena leaned against her apartment door after locking it, exhaling softly. The quiet wrapped around her like a blanket. She kicked off her shoes, letting her shoulders relax. She never knew she was being watched. She never knew someone had memorized the sound of her footsteps. She never knew that across the street, a man had already learned the rhythm of her breathing. He left after 12 minutes. Not because he wanted to, because he believed in discipline. Desire was easy. Control was art. His rules. He had rules. He always had rules. Rule 1. Never rush the beginning. Rule 2. Learn before touching. Rule 3. Protect what is yours. He paused. Corrected himself mentally. What will be yours? Yes. Better. That night, Lena dreamed of footsteps. She couldn't see who they belonged to. She could only hear them behind her, steady and patient. Not chasing. Not running. Following. She woke with her heart racing and told herself it was nothing. Just a dream. Just imagination. Just fear. She rolled over and fell back asleep. Across the street, inside a parked car with the engine off, a man watched her window until dawn. Part 2. The first thread. 3 days passed before he allowed himself closer. 3 days of watching routines, patterns, timings. Humans believed they were spontaneous creatures. They weren't. They were clocks pretending not to tick. 8:15 a.m. She leaves for class. 12:40 p.m. Returns for lunch. 4:10 p.m. bookstore shift. 9:05 p.m. home again. Variations minimal. He approved. Consistency made devotion easier. On the 4th day, he entered her world. The bookstore bell chimed softly when he stepped inside. She didn't look up immediately. She was kneeling near a stack of new arrivals, arranging them by author. He watched her fingers glide across covers like she was soothing them. Books trusted her. He understood why. She handled fragile things gently. "Can I help you find something?" Her voice. He had imagined it already, but hearing it was better, warmer, real. He tilted his head slightly. Yes. A pause. Something absorbing. She smiled politely. "Fiction or nonfiction?" "You." The word almost slipped out. He swallowed it. "Fiction," he corrected smoothly. She stood and walked toward a shelf. He followed, eyes tracing the line of her spine, the delicate slope of her neck. Close enough now to smell her shampoo, jasmine, faint but persistent. He catalogued it instantly. Scent was memory's favorite accomplice. She handed him a novel. "This one pulls you in fast. Psychological. A little dark." "How dark?" Her lips curved. "Depends how comfortable you are inside someone else's mind." He held her gaze. "I'm very comfortable there." For a second, just one, she hesitated. Not fear. Not suspicion. Something smaller. Instinct tapping gently from inside a locked door. He paid for the book he wouldn't read. Their fingers brushed when she handed him the receipt. Electricity. Not for her. For him. Outside, he exhaled slowly. Contact. Phase 1 complete. Inside, Lena watched him through the window without realizing she was doing it. Something about him lingered in her thoughts like a word she almost remembered. She shook her head. Ridiculous. He was just a customer. She didn't see him smile from across the street. Part 3. Recognition. That night, she heard footsteps again. Not in a dream. In the hallway outside her apartment. Slow. Measured. Stopping near her door. Her breath caught. Silence. She stared at the wood as if it might suddenly become transparent. Seconds stretched. Nothing happened. Finally, she told herself it was a neighbor. Old buildings made everything sound closer than it was. Still, she didn't sleep easily. Outside, he leaned lightly against the wall beside her door. Listening. Her breathing was faster tonight. Good. Awareness was the first stage of attachment. He placed something gently on the floor. A book. The same one she'd recommended. Inside the cover, he'd written one sentence. "You chose this for me. I wanted you to have it back." No name. No explanation. Just intention. Then he walked away. 7 silent steps. Inside, Lena didn't open her door until morning. When she did, the book waited. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. She didn't know why. She told herself it was curiosity, not anticipation. Definitely not excitement. She was wrong. Part 2. The shape of his attention. Lena did not believe in signs. She believed in logic, in reasons, in explanations that could be traced backward until they made sense. So when she saw the book outside her door, she didn't think someone left this for me. She thought, neighbor mistake, delivery error, coincidence. Her mind searched for ordinary answers the way hands search for a light switch in the dark. But her pulse knew better. She picked up the book slowly. Her name was not written on it. No address. Only that single sentence inside. "You chose this for me. I wanted you to have it back." Her throat tightened. A memory surfaced instantly. The customer. Tall. Calm. Watching. The way he'd looked at her like he was reading something written beneath her skin. No, she whispered to herself. It's nothing. She stepped back inside and closed the door. Locked it. Then locked it again. But she didn't put the book down. She carried it to the table. Saturday. Opened it. Stared. She wasn't afraid. Not exactly. Fear is loud. Violent. Obvious. This was something else. This was quiet. Curious. Alive. Her thumb traced the ink of the sentence. The handwriting was precise. Elegant. Patient. Someone who took time with details. Someone who never rushed. Someone who watched. Her chest tightened. She shut the book quickly. Placed it face down. Stood up. Walked away. Returned. Picked it up again. She didn't understand why she couldn't ignore it. Across the street, inside a parked car, he watched her window. He couldn't see her clearly, but he didn't need to. He already knew the sequence. Pick up. Pause. Seat. Read. Freeze. Think. Deny. Return. He pictured each motion perfectly, because he knew her rhythms now. She likes puzzles, he murmured softly to himself. His voice was calm, almost affectionate. She'll try to solve me. His lips curved slightly, and she won't even realize she's already inside the maze. The second rule. He never repeated a move. Predictability was for amateurs. Attachment required variation. The next day he didn't follow her. Not to class. Not to work. Not anywhere. He vanished. Completely. And that disturbed her more than his presence. At the bookstore, Lena caught herself glancing at the door every few minutes. It annoyed her. She didn't know why she was doing it. Customers came and went. The bell chimed. Pages turned. Conversations murmured. But not him. Good. She told herself firmly. That's good. So why did disappointment curl faintly in her stomach? She hated that feeling. Not fear. Expectation. Her coworker nudged her. You okay? You look distracted. I've fini. You sure? You've been staring at the entrance like you're waiting for someone mysterious and handsome. Lena scoffed lightly. I'm waiting for closing time. But her eyes flickered back to the door again anyway. Outside, across the street, he stood behind a newspaper stand where she couldn't see him. Watching. Always watching. He didn't enter. Not yet. Because absence, he believed, was sharper than presence. Absence made people imagine. And imagination was the most obedient servant obsession had. The third day without him. By the third day, Lena had convinced herself she'd imagined the intensity in his gaze. People looked at each other all the time. It meant nothing. The book was just politeness. Nothing more. Still she kept it beside her bed. That night rain began. Soft at first. Then steady. Then relentless. Thunder rolled across the sky like something heavy being dragged. Lena hated storms. Always had. They made the world feel too large. Too loud. Too unpredictable. She curled under her blanket, trying to ignore the sound. Lightning flashed. Thunder cracked. Her breath hitched. Then a sound. Not thunder. Not rain. Something else. A soft noise. From outside her apartment. Her eyes snapped toward the door. Silence. Then tap. Her heart stopped. Another tap. Gentle. Patient. Not loud enough to wake neighbors. Just loud enough for her. Her feet touched the floor before she realized she was moving. Step. 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 She stood in front of the door, staring at it. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. Hello. No answer. Her hand hovered over the lock. She shouldn't open it. She knew she shouldn't. Every instinct said don't. But curiosity is a dangerous kind of courage. She unlocked the door. Slowly, carefully, pulled it open. The hallway was empty. Her chest rose and fell quickly. "See," she whispered shakily. "Nothing." She almost closed it. Almost. Then she noticed it. On the floor, right where the book had been. A small folded note. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. Opened it. "Read. Storms make you anxious. You should try breathing slower. It helps." The world stopped. Her hands went cold. Her skin prickled. Her mind raced backward through memories. Did I tell anyone that? No. Did I post it somewhere? No. Did someone overhear? When? Her stomach dropped. Someone new. Someone who shouldn't. She stepped into the hallway suddenly, looking both directions. Empty. Silent. Watching. Because she felt watched. Across the street, standing in the rain without an umbrella, he observed her through the dim hallway light spilling from her doorway. His clothes were soaked. Water dripped from his hair. But he didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't shiver. Because devotion ignored weather. She opened it, he whispered softly. Not surprised. Never surprised. He watched her scan the corridor again, searching for someone who was no longer there. Her fear had changed now. It wasn't confusion anymore. It was awareness. And awareness was intimacy's first doorway. Inside her chest, Lena shut the door quickly and locked it. Once, twice, 3 times. Her breathing wouldn't slow. She pressed her back against the wood. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay. Think." Someone knew about her fear of storms. Someone who had seen her react. Someone who had been close enough to notice. Her mind replayed the past week. Class. Street. Store. Neighbors. Customers. Strangers. Then him. Her pulse stumbled. The memory of his eyes surfaced again. Still. Focused. Intent. Like he wasn't looking at her. Like he was looking into her. Her hands tightened around the note. "No," she said quickly. But denial sounded thin now. Fragile. Because deep down, something inside her recognized something inside him. Not familiarity. Not attraction. Not yet. Recognition. Like 2 shadows realizing they belonged to the same darkness. Across the street, he finally turned away. Satisfied. Not because she was scared. Because she was thinking about him. And in his world that meant she was already his. Part 3. When he steps closer. The human mind is merciful. When something impossible happens, it doesn't accept it immediately. It explains it away. Reduces it. Shrinks it into something harmless. Because the truth is often too large to survive inside. Lena didn't call the police. Didn't tell her friends. Didn't report the note. Because reporting it would make it real. And if it became real, then someone was watching her. So instead, she did what most people do when reality frightens them. She pretended she misunderstood it. "It's coincidence," she told her reflection the next morning. Her eyes looked unconvinced. Her voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. She went to class, listened to lectures, took notes, answered questions, smiled when spoken to, laughed at the right moments, acted normal. But her senses were louder now. Every footstep behind her made her spine tense. Every glance from a stranger lingered too long. Every reflection in glass made her check twice. Awareness had changed her world. And she didn't even realize that was exactly what he wanted. Across campus, he leaned casually against a tree, watching her from a distance that looked accidental. To anyone else, he was just a man enjoying shade. To her, he was nowhere. Invisible. Gone. He studied the tension in her shoulders. The slight delay before she turned corners. The way her eyes scanned crowds now. He noted each detail carefully. Not with amusement. With appreciation. "Good," he murmured softly. His voice carried approval. "You're learning." Why he watches. He did not think of himself as cruel. Cruelty hurt things for pleasure. He didn't hurt her. He refined her, sharpened her senses, strengthened her awareness, made her better. He believed attention was the purest form of affection, and he was giving her all of his. Most people, he thought, moved through life unseen, unnoticed, unobserved. They begged for attention from people who barely looked at them, posted pictures, spoke louder, tried harder. But her, she didn't ask for attention, so he gave it to her anyway, endlessly, devotedly, completely. The first conversation. It happened 3 days later. Not by accident. Never by accident. The bookstore bell chimed. Lena looked up automatically and froze. Him. He stood in the doorway like he had simply stepped out of her thoughts and into reality. Calm. Unbothered. Watching. Her stomach tightened. Her hands went cold. But her voice stayed steady. Welcome back. His gaze softened almost imperceptibly. He walked toward the counter slowly, like someone approaching a frightened animal he didn't want to startle. I finished the book. Her fingers tightened slightly on the desk. That was fast. I'm a fast reader. A pause. Then I absorb things quickly. Her pulse skipped. Something about the way he said it didn't sound like he was talking about books. She nodded once. Professional. Neutral. Did you like it? Yes. His eyes never left hers. I liked the main character. Oh, she said lightly. Why? Because she didn't realize she was being studied. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Electric. Her throat tightened before she could stop it. He saw. Of course he saw. He always saw. He tilted his head slightly. You seem nervous. I'm not. A beat. You're observant, she corrected. His lips curved faintly. Approval again. Yes, he said softly. You're starting to be. A strange sensation moved through her chest. Not fear. Not exactly. Something warmer. Something dangerous. Because part of her, a very small part, didn't want him to stop looking at her. She hated that part instantly. What's your name? She asked before she could stop herself. The question slipped out like a secret escaping. His eyes darkened almost imperceptibly. Not with surprise. With satisfaction. Names mattered. Names meant invitation. He answered without hesitation. Adrian. It wasn't a lie. But it wasn't permission either. Lena, she said quietly. He nodded once. I know. Her breath caught. The air between them changed. Not louder. Not sharper. Just closer. Inside his mind. He watched the realization spread across her face like ink through water. Slow. Inevitable. Beautiful. There it is, he thought. Recognition. Fear and fascination were siblings. People never realized how often they mistook one for the other. You shouldn't worry so much, he said gently. Her voice dropped. About what? Storms. Her heart slammed. The bookstore felt suddenly smaller, quieter, like the world had leaned in to listen. How do you know that? She whispered. He didn't answer immediately. Silence stretched. Controlled. Intentional. Then he stepped closer. Not touching. Never touching. Just enough that she could feel his presence like heat. I pay attention, he said. Her breath trembled. Her instincts screamed. Her thoughts tangled. Her pulse betrayed her. Because she should be afraid. She was afraid. But underneath the fear, something else pulsed. Something that whispered. He sees you. And being seen, truly seen, was the most addictive feeling a lonely heart could taste. He straightened slightly, gave her space again. Relief flickered across her face, and something else. Disappointment. He noticed. Of course he noticed. I'll see you soon, Lena. Not goodbye. Never goodbye. He turned and walked toward the door. The bell chimed softly as he left. She stood frozen behind the counter long after he was gone. Her coworker approached slowly. "Okay," she said. "Who was that?" Lena swallowed. "I don't know." But her pulse whispered the truth. "You do." Outside, Adrian stepped into the fading afternoon light, his expression calm. Because now she wasn't just aware of him. She was thinking about him. And thoughts. Thoughts were the first chains. Part 4. Protection she didn't ask for. Lena lasted exactly 2 days before she broke her own rule. Her rule had always been simple. Ignore anything that feels strange. Strange things fade when you don't feed them attention. Strange things disappear when you refuse to name them. Strange things lose power if you pretend they don't exist. Adrian didn't disappear. He didn't return to the bookstore. He didn't leave notes. He didn't knock. He didn't follow her openly. But she felt him anyway. Awareness doesn't vanish once it wakes up. It lingers. Sharp. Breathing. Listening. She caught herself scanning reflections in windows, checking footsteps behind her, pausing before unlocking her apartment door. She told herself she was being paranoid. She told herself she was imagining things. She told herself she needed sleep. Her instincts told her something else. He's still here. And her instincts were right. The distance he keeps. Adrian stood on the roof of the building across from her apartment, watching her window through a pair of compact binoculars. Not every minute. Not obsessively. Just enough. Just often. Just precisely. He observed patterns the way musicians hear rhythm. Her lamp turning off. Her curtains shifting. Her shadow crossing the wall. The exact minute she paced when she couldn't sleep. The exact second she checked her locks. She worries at 1:12 a.m., he murmured softly to himself. He didn't write it down. He didn't need to. He remembered everything. Most people watch television. He watched her. Not because he lacked a life. Because she was his life. The incident. It happened on a Thursday evening. Cold wind. Fading light. Crowded sidewalk. Lena stepped out of the bookstore, adjusting her bag strap. She'd stayed late reorganizing shelves. The street buzzed with commuters, voices, engines movement. Normal. Safe. Predictable. Hey. She turned. A man leaned casually against the wall near the entrance. Mid-30s maybe. Smiling. Not kindly. Just confidently. "You work here, right?" he asked. "Yes," she said cautiously. "I've seen you around." Something in his tone made her stomach tighten. Polite smile. Exit strategy ready. "Okay." He pushed off the wall. Stepped closer. Too close. "You always get off this late?" Her shoulders stiffened. "That depends." "On what?" She met his eyes calmly. "On why someone's asking." His grin widened. "I just think a girl like you shouldn't be walking home alone." Her pulse quickened. Not panic. Calculation. "I'm not," she said evenly. A lie. But he didn't move. Didn't back up. Didn't look convinced. "Still," he said, voice lowering. "Maybe I could walk with you." Her instincts screamed. Not danger yet. But possibility. She shifted her weight, preparing to step around him. "No thanks." His hand moved. Fast. Grabbing her wrist. Not violently. Not painfully. Just enough. Enough to stop her. "Relax," he said softly. "I'm being nice." Her chest tightened. Her voice sharpened. "Let go." He didn't. The street noise swallowed the moment. People passed. No one noticed. Then, another voice spoke behind him. Calm. Quiet. Certain. "You should let her go." The man turned. Annoyed. "What?" Adrian stood there. Expression neutral. Posture relaxed. Eyes steady. He didn't look threatening. He didn't sound threatening. He didn't move threateningly. But something in the air shifted. The stranger frowned. And who are you? Adrian's voice didn't rise, didn't harden, didn't change. Someone giving you good advice. Silence. The man scoffed. Mind your business. Adrian tilted his head slightly. This is my business. The stranger laughed. Wrong reaction. Because Adrian didn't laugh back. His gaze slid briefly to Lena's wrist. Still held. Still trapped. When his eyes returned to the man, they were different. Not angry. Not emotional. Just colder. You have 3 seconds, Adrian said softly, to remove your hand. Something ancient stirred under his voice. Something instinct recognized before logic could. The man hesitated. Just slightly. Adrian began counting. 3. The stranger's grip loosened without him realizing he'd done it. 2. His fingers released completely. Adrian didn't say 1. He didn't need to. The man stepped back. Annoyance flickering into uncertainty. Whatever, he muttered. She's not worth it anyway. He turned and walked away. Fussed. Adrian watched until he disappeared into the crowd. Only then did he look at Lena. She was staring at him, breathing uneven, eyes wide, pulse racing. Not from fear. From him. You're shaking, he said gently. She hadn't noticed. But she was. I'm fine, she said automatically. He didn't argue. Didn't correct her. Didn't challenge her lie. He stepped closer. Slowly. Carefully. Like approaching something fragile. You shouldn't walk alone at night, he said quietly. Her throat tightened. I told him the same thing. A pause. Yes, Adrian said softly. But I meant it. Her chest rose. Fell. Rose again. She should thank him. She knew she should. Normal people would. Polite people would. Sensible people would. Instead she asked, Were you following me? Silence. He didn't look offended. Didn't look guilty. Didn't look surprised. He looked honest. Yes. Her breath caught. Not denial. Not excuse. Not apology. Truth. And somehow, that was more dangerous than any lie. Why? She whispered. His gaze softened. Not less intense. Just warmer. To make sure you got home safely. Her heart pounded so hard she thought he might hear it. Maybe he could. Maybe he already was. That's not normal, she said quietly. No, he agreed. Another pause. But neither is ignoring danger when you see it. Her voice dropped. You don't even know me. His lips curved faintly. I know enough. Something inside her shifted. Not trust. Not comfort. Something deeper. More primal. More reckless. Because part of her, a dangerous hidden part, felt safer with him standing there than she had felt all week. And that realization terrified her. Adrian noticed the exact moment it happened. He saw it in her pupils. In her shoulders. In her breath. Recognition again. Good, he thought. Very good. I'll walk you home, he said quietly. It wasn't a question. She should refuse. She knew she should refuse. Every rational thought told her to. But her instincts, the same instincts that had screamed earlier, were silent now. Listening. Considering. Okay, she heard herself say. Adrian didn't smile. But something in his eyes did. They walked side by side in silence. Not touching. Not speaking. Not rushing. The city noise faded behind them. Streetlights flickered on. Shadows stretched longer. And Lena realized something she didn't understand yet. She wasn't scared of him anymore. She was scared of how safe she felt with him. Behind them, far down the street, the man who had grabbed her wrist leaned against a wall, rubbing his shoulder with a wince. He didn't understand why it hurt. Adrian had never touched him. Not physically. But fear could bruise deeper than fists. Up ahead, Lena glanced sideways. Adrian was already looking at her. He hadn't looked away once. And for the first time, she didn't look away either. Part 5. The places he already exists. They walked in silence for exactly 6 minutes. Lena noticed because she was counting. Not intentionally. Her mind just started tracking things now. Footsteps, breaths, distance, sound. Awareness had rewired her, and she knew whose fault that was. Adrian walked beside her with calm precision, hands in his coat pockets, pace perfectly matched to hers without ever needing adjustment. He didn't look around, didn't check his phone, didn't glance at passing strangers. He only looked at her. "You're staring," she said quietly. "Yes." Her breath caught slightly, not because of the word, because of how easily he said it. No embarrassment, no apology, no attempt to soften it. Why? His answer came without hesitation. "I like looking at you." Her pulse skipped. The streetlight above them hummed softly. Wind brushed her hair across her cheek. He noticed. Of course he noticed. He noticed everything. "That," she began, then stopped. "Strange," he offered. She nodded once. "Yes," he agreed. They walked 3 more steps. "But you didn't ask me to stop." Her throat tightened. Because he was right. She hadn't. Her building when they reached her apartment building, she slowed. Not because she wanted to. Because something inside her resisted the ending of the walk. She didn't understand that feeling. Didn't want to understand it. "This is me," she said. Adrian's gaze lifted briefly to the building, then to the 3rd-floor window, then back to her. The glance lasted less than a second. She wouldn't have noticed if she hadn't already known he noticed everything. "You live alone," he said. It wasn't a question. Her chest tightened. "Yes." He nodded once. No surprise. No reaction. Just confirmation. "How do you know that?" she asked. His eyes rested on hers calmly. "I pay attention." Her pulse fluttered uneasily. "That's not an explanation." "It is for me." Silence. Most people would have felt threatened. Most people would have stepped back. Most people would have ended the conversation. Lena didn't. She stayed exactly where she was, looking at him, breathing slowly, trying to understand him. That was her first mistake. Curiosity is the doorway obsession walks through. "You watch people a lot?" she asked. "No. A beat. I watch you." Her stomach tightened. Heat spread slowly through her chest. Dangerous heat. Confusing heat. "That isn't normal." "No," he agreed again. Another pause. Wind rustled faintly between buildings. A car passed somewhere far away. "Does it scare you?" he asked softly. She thought about it honestly. About the note. The storm. The way he'd appeared exactly when she needed help. The way he spoke like he already knew her. "It should," she said. His head tilted slightly. "But it doesn't." Her breath trembled. Because that was true too. Inside his mind. Adrian watched the moment realization touched her again. He loved that moment. That precise instant when someone's mind brushed against truth, but hadn't accepted it yet. That fragile space between knowing and denying. It was beautiful. "You're trying to understand me," he said quietly. She didn't deny it. He stepped a little closer. Not enough to invade. Just enough that she could feel warmth radiating from him. "You won't," he continued gently. Her voice came out softer now. "Why not?" "Because I already understand you." Her heart slammed. "How?" He studied her face like he was reading a page only he could see. "You reread your favorite books," he said calmly. "You check the door lock twice before bed. You hum when you're concentrating. You stop drinking tea when it gets cold but forget to reheat it. You hate thunderstorms." A pause. "And you pretend you're brave when you're scared." Her breath stopped. Every word true. Not guesses. Not lucky assumptions. Facts. Her voice barely existed when she spoke. "How do you know all that?" His answer was almost gentle. I've been paying attention longer than you think. Her fingers curled slightly at her sides. Her mind raced. Her instincts flared. Her pulse thundered. She should run. She knew she should run. But she didn't move, because something deeper than fear held her there. Something that whispered, "He sees you." And being seen is the most dangerous drug in existence. The shift. "I should go inside," she said quietly. "Yes." He didn't stop her. Didn't reach for her. Didn't block her path. He just stood there, watching. She took a step toward the door. Then another. Her hand touched the handle. She hesitated. Turned back. He was still looking at her. Exactly the same way. Not demanding. Not pleading. Not asking. Certain. "Adrian." "Yes." Her voice lowered slightly. "You won't follow me tonight." Silence. His eyes softened almost imperceptibly. "That depends," he said. Her breath caught. "On what?" His answer was quiet. "On the edge of a whisper. On whether you need me to." Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her throat. "I don't." He studied her for a long moment. Searching. Measuring. Deciding. Then he nodded once. "All right." And just like that, he turned. Walked away. No argument. No insistence. No resistance. Which unsettled her more than if he'd refused. Because it meant one thing. He didn't need permission. She watched him until he disappeared down the street. Only then did she go inside. Lock the door. Lean against it. Breathe. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her hands trembled. Her thoughts tangled. Because something had changed tonight. Something irreversible. She wasn't just aware of him anymore. She was thinking about him when he wasn't there. And outside, halfway down the block, Adrian paused beneath a streetlight. He glanced back once at her building. His expression calm. Satisfied. Because he knew something she didn't. He hadn't followed her. Not tonight. He didn't need to. He already knew she would dream about him. And dreams were places he'd learned how to live long ago. Part 6. The things he touched. Lena didn't dream. She felt. Sleep came late and shallow, like something afraid to settle fully inside her mind. Every sound in the apartment seemed louder than usual. The refrigerator's hum. Pipes shifting inside the walls. Wind brushing faintly against the glass. Her body lay still. Her senses stayed awake. It wasn't fear exactly. It was awareness sharpened into instinct. Because once someone tells you they've been watching you, you never feel alone again. She turned onto her side. Closed her eyes. Opened them again. The room was the same. Her lamp. Her books. Her chair. Her door. Her door. Her gaze stayed there. Lingering. Studying. Nothing moved. Nothing changed. Nothing happened. Still. Her chest tightened. She didn't remember falling asleep. Morning. Sunlight woke her gently. Warm. Soft. Ordinary. For a few seconds she felt calm. Then memory returned. Adrian. His voice. His eyes. His words. "I've been paying attention longer than you think." Her stomach tightened. She sat up slowly. Looked around. Everything seemed normal. She exhaled. Maybe she'd overreacted. Maybe he was just. Her gaze stopped. Her book. It wasn't where she left it. She frowned. She clearly remembered placing it on the nightstand before sleeping. Now it sat on her desk. Across the room. Her pulse slowed. Then quickened. No. No, I moved it. I must have. Half asleep. Not thinking. That made sense. It had to. She swung her legs off the bed and stood. Walked to the desk. Picked up the book. Turned it over. A new sentence had been written inside. Her blood went cold. "You should drink water when you wake up. You always forget." Her fingers trembled. Her apartment was silent. Still. Listening. Her throat tightened. No. Her mind raced backward through the night. Did I wake up? Did I sleepwalk? Did I write this? Did someone come in? Her chest rose sharply. She turned, looked at the door. Locked. Still locked. Her breathing quickened. Her skin prickled. Her instincts screamed. Someone had been here. Across the street. Adrian watched her through the narrow gap between her curtains. Not smiling. Not gloating. Observing. Her shoulders were tense. Her movements sharper. Her breathing faster. Good. Not fear. Awareness. He'd only stayed inside her apartment for 4 minutes. 4 minutes was enough. He didn't rush. Didn't search. Didn't snoop. He simply stood there, feeling her space, learning her air, memorizing her silence. Then he left the note, moved the book, and walked out the same way he came in, because locks only stop strangers, not people who already belong somewhere. Back inside, Lena reread the sentence again, and again, and again. Her mind tried desperately to find logic. Any logic? Maybe a friend came in? No. No one had a key. Maintenance? No notice. No sound. Her chest tightened. Her instincts whispered the truth her thoughts refused. He was here. Her voice trembled. Adrian. Silence answered. Her heart pounded so loudly she almost didn't hear it. Top. She froze. The sound came from the window. Slowly. Slowly. She turned. He stood outside on the fire escape. Calm. Still. Watching her. Her breath vanished. He lifted one hand slightly. Not waving. Acknowledging. She couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Couldn't think. Because he looked exactly the same as always. Composed. Quiet. Certain. Like appearing outside her third-floor window was the most natural thing in the world. He spoke softly through the glass. She couldn't hear him, but she saw the words on his lips. Good morning, Lena. Her knees nearly gave out. She crossed the room slowly, like something pulling her forward against her will. Her hand trembled as she unlocked the window, raised it halfway. Cold air slipped inside. So did his presence. How did you get up here? She whispered. He glanced briefly at the metal ladder. Climbed. Her throat tightened. That's insane. Yes. He didn't sound ashamed. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. You were inside. Not a question. Yes. Her fingers curled. You broke in. No, he said gently. I entered. Her pulse pounded. That's the same thing. It isn't to me. Silence. Wind brushed her hair across her face again. He noticed. Of course he noticed. His voice lowered slightly. I didn't touch anything that mattered. Her stomach twisted. You shouldn't have touched anything at all. A pause. His eyes softened. I know. Her breath hitched. Because he didn't sound defensive. He sounded honest. Then why did you do it? She asked. His answer came quietly, without hesitation, without shame. I wanted to feel where you live. Her heart slammed. That doesn't make sense. It does to me. Her voice dropped. That's not normal. No, he agreed again. Another pause. Then he added softly, but it's real. Something inside her chest tightened painfully, because she could hear it. The truth in his voice. Not manipulation. Not performance. Not lies. Conviction. His first rule. She swallowed. Why me? The question left her before she could stop it. His gaze held hers steadily. I told you, he said. Her voice barely existed. When? The first day. She frowned slightly. You didn't. Yes, he said softly. I just didn't use words. Her pulse quickened. He stepped closer to the window, close enough now that if she leaned forward even slightly, their foreheads would touch through the space. My first rule, he said quietly, is that love isn't chosen. Her breath trembled. It recognizes. Silence wrapped around them. Heavy. Breathing. Alive. Her chest rose slowly. "Love," she whispered. His answer was immediate. "Yes." Her heart slammed so hard she felt dizzy. "You don't even know me." His gaze deepened. "I know the parts of you no one else notices." Her thoughts spun. Her instincts clashed. Her pulse thundered. Because something terrifying was happening inside her. She didn't believe him. She shouldn't believe him. She couldn't believe him. But part of her, a quiet, reckless, dangerous part, wanted to. And Adrian saw that part. He saw it clearly. Perfectly. Completely. His voice softened to almost nothing. "You're thirsty." She blinked. "What? You haven't had water yet." Her throat tightened. Because she hadn't. Slowly, without realizing she was doing it, she reached for the glass on her desk. Took a sip. His eyes warmed slightly. Approval. And that frightened her more than anything else. Because she realized something in that moment. Something she couldn't undo. Something she couldn't unknow. She hadn't drunk the water because she was thirsty. She drank it because he told her to. And she didn't know why she'd listened. Adrian watched understanding dawn inside her eyes. Slow. Terrified. Beautiful. Yes, he thought. You feel it now. The thread. The invisible thread tying her thoughts to his voice. He stepped back onto the fire escape. "I'll leave," he said gently. She didn't answer. Couldn't. He studied her one last time. Memorizing. Recording. Keeping. Then he added quietly, "You're safe today." Her voice finally returned. "From what?" His gaze darkened slightly. "From things that aren't me." A chill slid down her spine. Before she could speak again, he was already gone. When she rushed to the window, the fire escape was empty. No sound. No footsteps. No trace. Only absence. And the terrifying realization. That absence didn't feel like relief. It felt like something important had just left. Part 7. The distance he doesn't allow. Distance. Lena decided distance would fix everything. Distance was logical. Rational. Safe. Distance meant clarity. Distance meant control. So she avoided him. She didn't go to the bookstore that morning. Called in sick. Turned her phone off. Closed her curtains. Sat on the floor with her back against the couch, and her knees pulled to her chest like she was bracing against a storm no one else could see. Because something had changed. Not outside. Inside. She could still feel his presence. Not physically. Psychologically. Like warmth lingering after someone steps away. Her mind replayed his voice without permission. "You're thirsty." Her hand tightened unconsciously. She stood suddenly. "No." The word sounded fragile. "This is ridiculous." She walked to the sink. Turned on the tap. Watched water run. Normal. Everything was normal. She was fine. He was just. Her thoughts stopped. Because she didn't have a word for what he was. And not having a word made him worse. His absence. Across the street, Adrian wasn't there. Not on the roof. Not in the alley. Not watching her window. He was somewhere else. Watching something else. Because he understood something she didn't. If you hold something too tightly, it pulls away. So he let her breathe. Not because she asked. Because he decided she needed it. Adrian sat in a quiet cafe 2 blocks away, stirring untouched coffee slowly. His eyes rested on the window. Not the street. Not the people. The reflection. In the reflection, he could see the sidewalk behind him. Every passerby. Every movement. Every face. He noticed things most people missed. Patterns. Rhythms. Threats. And right now he was waiting. Her attempt at normal. By afternoon, Lena convinced herself she'd overreacted. Again. She showered. Got dressed. Opened her curtains. Let sunlight in. Nothing happened. No notes. No tapping. No figure on the fire escape. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. See? She thought. You imagined it. Her breathing slowed. Her pulse steadied. Her thoughts quieted. Maybe he'd gotten bored. Maybe he'd lost interest. Maybe. A strange ache stirred faintly in her chest. She froze. Why did that thought feel disappointing? Her stomach tightened. No, she whispered quickly. She grabbed her bag. I'm going out. Because staying inside felt worse than facing the world. The street. The city looked ordinary. Cars. Voices. Wind. Life. Normal. She walked slowly at first. Then steadier. Then more confidently. Her senses stayed sharp. But nothing happened. No one followed. No one watched. No one approached. Relief began to settle. See, she told herself. You scared yourself for nothing. She reached the crosswalk. Stopped. Waited for the signal. Someone stepped beside her. Her body went rigid. Not his voice. She turned. A different man stood there. Younger than the last one. Casual smile. Friendly eyes. Normal posture. I see you around a lot, he said. You live near here? Her instincts didn't scream. Didn't warn. Didn't tighten. Because he felt harmless. She nodded once. Yes. I'm Sam Kropka. She hesitated. Then, Lena. Across the street, inside the cafe, Adrian's spoon stopped moving. The moment. Sam smiled warmly. Nice to finally meet you. Finally. The word settled wrong in her ears. But not wrong enough to reject. The signal changed. People began crossing. Sam stepped beside her, matching her pace. So where you headed? He asked casually. Just walking. Mind if I join? Her mind hesitated. Her instincts were quiet. Her chest felt calm. Okay. Across the street, Adrian stood. His chair slid back silently. Coffee untouched. Bill unpaid. His eyes didn't blink. Didn't soften. Didn't move. They locked onto Sam. The shift in the air. Lena didn't notice at first. She was listening to Sam talk about something harmless. Weather. Classes. Music. His voice was easy. Light. Normal. Normal. She hadn't realized how long it had been since she'd spoken to someone who felt normal. Her shoulders relaxed. Her steps loosened. Her breathing softened. She smiled. That was the exact moment Adrian stepped outside. The door closed behind him with a soft click. He watched them walking together. Side by side. Close. Comfortable. Something inside his chest tightened. Not jealousy. He didn't feel jealousy. Jealousy was emotional. Unstable. Reactive. What he felt was simpler. Clearer. Colder. Correction. The situation needed correcting. The instinct she forgot. Lena laughed softly at something Sam said. It surprised her. The sound felt unfamiliar leaving her throat. She hadn't laughed like that in days. Sam noticed. His smile widened. And that was the moment her instincts returned. Not loudly. Not violently. Quietly. Sharply. Something was wrong. She didn't know what. Didn't see anything. Didn't hear anything. But suddenly, her skin prickled. Sam kept talking. She stopped listening. Her senses stretched outward. Scanning. Searching. Then, she felt it. Not a sound. Not a touch. Not a movement. A presence. Her steps slowed. Sam noticed. You okay? Her voice came out faint. Yeah. But she wasn't. Because she knew that feeling now. She turned slowly. Across the street. Adrian stood watching. Still. Silent. Unblinking. And the world instantly felt smaller. Her breath caught. Her pulse jumped. Her thoughts scattered. Not fear. Not relief. Recognition. Sam followed her gaze. Friend of yours? Adrian's eyes shifted to him. The temperature in the air seemed to drop. Lena's voice came out quietly. No. Adrian tilted his head slightly. Not agreement. Correction. From across the street. His lips moved. She read them easily. Mine. Her heart slammed. Sam looked back at her. You sure? He's staring pretty hard. Her throat tightened. I don't. Adrian stepped off the curb. Cars slowed. Drivers glanced. No one understood why the air suddenly felt tense. He crossed calmly. Unhurried. Certain. Sam frowned slightly. Okay, that's kinda weird. Yes. It was. Because Adrian didn't stop walking. Didn't hesitate. Didn't break eye contact. Until he stood in front of them. Silence swallowed the street noise. Adrian's gaze rested on Lena first. Always her first. Always her. You went out, he said softly. Her voice barely existed. Yes. He nodded once. Approval. Then his eyes moved to Sam. The warmth vanished. Not anger. Not hostility. Just absence. Like looking at something that didn't matter. Sam shifted slightly. Can I help you? Adrian studied him. Measured. Calculated. Dismissed. No. A pause. Then he added calmly. But you can leave. The air snapped tight. Sam blinked. Excuse me. Lena's pulse thundered. Adrian didn't raise his voice. Didn't step closer. Didn't threaten. He simply said, You're in my place. Silence. Sam let out a short laugh. Your place? We're on a sidewalk, man. Adrian's gaze didn't change. Yes, he said quietly. And she's on it. Lena's breath stopped. Because she understood what he meant. Not location. Claim. Sam frowned. Okay, that's enough. Dude, back off. Adrian's eyes sharpened slightly. Not anger. Decision. He stepped forward. Just once. Sam instinctively stepped back. Not because Adrian touched him. Not because Adrian threatened him. Because something in Adrian's presence felt like standing too close to the edge of something very deep. Adrian's voice lowered. You're done talking to her. Not loud. Not harsh. Final. Sam swallowed. Glanced at Lena. Then back at Adrian. Something in his expression shifted. Confidence draining. Instinct taking over. Yes, Sam mattered. Okay. Whatever. He stepped away. Walked off. Faster than before. Adrian watched until he disappeared. Only then. He turned back to Lena. Her chest rose and fell quickly. Her eyes wide. Her pulse wild. You can't do that, she whispered. Yes, he said gently. I can. Her throat tightened. That's not normal. No. Silence. But it's necessary. Her voice trembled. Necessary for what? His gaze softened. Deepened. Darkened. For keeping what's mine. Her heart slammed. Because she should have argued. Should have denied it. Should have walked away. Instead, she stayed. Looking at him. Breathing him in. Feeling the terrifying, intoxicating pull of someone who refused to let the world have her. And Adrian saw it. Saw the moment her resistance weakened. Saw the moment curiosity returned. Saw the moment the thread tightened. Yes, he thought. Distance doesn't work. Not for us. Part 8. The rules she shouldn't make. Final chapter. Silence lingered between them after Sam left. Not empty silence. Charged silence. The kind that exists after lightning strikes but before thunder arrives. Lena's heart was still racing. Not from fear. From him. Adrian stood close enough that she could feel the heat of his presence. But he didn't touch her. He never touched her unless he chose to. And somehow that restraint felt more powerful than force ever could. You can't control who I talk to, she said softly. Her voice didn't shake. That surprised her. His gaze remained steady. I don't control you. Her brows pulled together. You just told someone to leave because he was talking to me. Yes. That's controlling. No, Adrian said calmly. That's protecting. Her pulse skipped. She should argue, should insist, should reject that logic immediately. Instead, she asked, from what? His answer came instantly. Anything that isn't safe for you. Her chest tightened. That's not your decision. His head tilted slightly. It is if I'm the one watching. The words settled over her like dusk. Slow. Inevitable. Unavoidable. She swallowed. I didn't ask you to watch me. No, he agreed gently. You didn't. A pause. Wind moved softly between buildings. A distant car passed. Life continued around them, but the world inside that small space between them had stopped. You need rules, she said suddenly. His eyes sharpened with interest. Rules, he repeated. Yes. Her voice grew steadier. If you're going to be around me, then there have to be rules. He didn't laugh, didn't refuse, didn't interrupt. He listened, completely, because Adrian loved rules. Rules revealed what people believed they controlled. Okay, he said softly. Her breath steadied. Encouraged. Rule 1, she thought. Something simple. Something reasonable. You don't come into my apartment again. Silence. Adrian considered that. Not emotionally. Logically. Then he nodded once. All right. Relief flickered across her chest. She hadn't expected that to be easy. Second, she continued, you don't scare people away from me. A longer pause this time. His gaze searched hers. Not resisting. Evaluating. If they're harmless, he said. Her throat tightened. That's not your choice to make. His voice softened. It is if you can't see what I see. Her pulse quickened. That's not fair. No, he agreed quietly. It isn't. The honesty disarmed her again. She hesitated. One more rule. One that mattered. You don't follow me. This time, Adrian didn't answer immediately. The air shifted. Not tense. Not angry. Just different. Because this rule was different. This rule mattered. His voice lowered slightly. That one, he said. I can't promise. Her chest tightened. Why not? His gaze held hers. Steady. Unblinking. Unavoidable. Because, he said quietly, that's the only way I know you're safe. Her heart pounded. That's not healthy. No, he agreed. Silence again. The city noise seemed farther away now. Muted. Like they stood inside a separate world. She should walk away. She knew she should. Every logical thought screamed it. But logic was losing. Because something inside her was changing. Shifting. Leaning. Toward him. You don't even know what safe means for me, she whispered. His expression softened. Almost tender. Ido. Her breath caught. Ow. He stepped closer. Not fast. Not sudden. Just inevitable. Close enough now that she could see the faint gold ring around his dark irises. Close enough to feel his breath warm against the air between them. Because, he said softly, I'm the only thing you're not afraid of. Her heart slammed. She wanted to deny it. Wanted to argue. Wanted to prove him wrong. But she couldn't. Because it was true. She wasn't afraid of him. Not really. Not the way she should be. And that terrified her more than anything else ever had. Adrian watched the realization unfold across her face. He saw the exact second resistance weakened. The exact second truth settled. The exact second she stopped fighting what she already felt. His voice dropped to a whisper. You can make rules, Lena. Her breath trembled. But you won't keep them. Her lips parted slightly. Because deep down, she knew he was right. Not because he forced her. Not because he trapped her. Not because he threatened her. but because some hidden, dangerous part of her didn't want him gone. And Adrian saw that part. He always had. Slowly, carefully, he lifted his hand. Not to grab, not to trap, not to restrain, just to touch her wrist. Lightly. The same wrist someone else had grabbed days ago. The same wrist he had freed. His thumb brushed once across her skin. Gentle, certain, claiming without pressure. Her breath caught, but she didn't pull away, didn't step back, didn't stop him. Adrian's voice was barely sound now. You feel it? Not a question. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Yes, she whispered. And that was the moment everything changed. Because consent given to darkness feels different than consent taken. His gaze warmed slightly. Victory wasn't what he felt. Relief was. He leaned closer, close enough that his forehead nearly touched hers. You don't need rules, he murmured. Her breath trembled. You need someone, he finished, who never looks away. Silence wrapped around them. Thick. Endless. Alive. She didn't move. Didn't run. Didn't protest. Because for the first time in her life, someone was watching her. Like she was the only thing in the world worth seeing. And she didn't want him to stop. Adrian closed his eyes briefly. Not in rest. In certainty. Yes, he thought. She's mine. Not because he claimed her. Not because he forced her. Not because he trapped her. But because she stayed. And people only stay when part of them wants to belong. The wind moved softly around them. The city breathed. Time continued. But neither of them stepped away. Not anymore. The end. Blackheart final note. This wasn't a story about escape. It was a story about recognition. About the terrifying moment someone sees you completely, and you realize you don't want to hide.